We're back again in the MOGAS iRSVP shop, and what we're going to talk about today is eliminating minor packing leaks when the valve is online. This is a MOGAS iRSVP UC. It's a 0.63 bore valve, 1,500 pound class. You would normally see this in low pressure steam and boiler drain applications. You can see today that you've got some bubbles coming out here from around your packing stem, and this one obviously has been set up so that we can illustrate a leak. Normally you would have either a blowing sensation, you would have water coming out if it were in a water line, or you might have steam coming out. Obviously know what your application is and be safe before you approach one of these valves to adjust the packing. You can see that we have 4 gland flange studs here, and instead of coming down on live load packing around the studs, the live load is actually around the stem and right on top of the gland flange itself. So this allows the packing to hopefully pack down in your packing box and seal the leak before you get a true leak path cut in either your packing or your packing box itself. That would do irreparable damage to your valve. You can see on the front that I've marked these studs. We have one flat with a dot, one flat not. And what you want to do is in a star pattern, you can start at any corner, 1, 2, 3, 4, like you would on a tire. You want to adjust these one flat per turn. So when you look at your nut, and we're starting here with a dot, you want to come over until you have a plain silver. And again, you notice I'm using an open-end box wrench. This is the tool you would want to use, or you could use a small crescent wrench. Once we've done this one, we'll come to the back corner, and we want to go one flat. We're going to come to the front corner, and we're going to go one flat. Back here again, one flat. Once you've done one round, if you can, and again it's easier with water or steam than it is with bubbles because the bubbles stay behind, you want to check and see if your leak is still leaking. And I still see a little bit of bubbles, and you notice those were not even finger tight. So the packing springs are doing their job. They're sealing off the packing box already. We'll go ahead and go one more flat. So back to our number 1 position. Over to our number 2 position, back to our number 3. Well, that was not even finger tight there. And then back to number 4. So at this point, we have adjusted the packing nuts down to where there's no longer a leak. I still have the full PSI on this valve, and you can see there's no bubbles coming out at this time, so it is adjusted down. And again, the reason you want to do this with an open-end wrench is if this valve has the hand lever or actually an actuator and mounting bracket, you can't access this port in order to get your extension through to use an actual socket. So at this point, what you would want to do is go back to your shop, go online to mogas.com and download the instruction manual for the iRSVP. And in the back, there are actual torque data for these nuts. This one happens to be 4 foot-pounds or 48 inch-pounds. You would come back with a breakover torque wrench and just make sure that these are all torqued down to the proper specs. If you're doing this on a live line, again, please consider safety first and don't violate any of your plant policies. If you have isolation valves upstream or downstream, you can lock the valve in. You will still have a little bit of pressure inside the valve as you're adjusting, and you can always open up one of your isolation valves to let pressure back in to check your packing. So please think safety first. Some of these steam lines can be very hot and very dangerous.